button. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of The Gang Saves Humanity. My name is James Ellers. With me, as always, we have Heidi.
Hey, guys.
And today we are joined by the one and only Andrew Yang. Andrew, how you doing?
I'm doing great. So fun. You two are like the co-hosts with the most. I'm a fan.
We won't tell Matt that.
Yeah, whatever. That's our trophies. But James, you reflect something that I'm really interested in, which is I am convinced that there are amazing people that have run for Congress around the country. And I met them. I met you. So I'm a sports fan. And if you look at NBA players, there are NBA players who get drafted and then their careers don't go a certain way because of like circumstances that are not specific to them. It's like, they went to a team that had a bunch of vets, or like coach didn't like them, or like the system wasn't right, or, like any of a number of things that go on. I feel like politics is the same way, where it's like you have people who run for office and don't win, but are awesome. So I have this theory that if we were to find the people who run for Congress around the country, we'd find some of the best people in our entire society.
I appreciate that. And honestly, like the only reason, like the main reason I ran is because I discovered you. So I appreciate that, especially coming from you, because my main thing was getting like your ideas and everything out there because it helped me so much. So yes, thank you for running, and we're getting more people to run for sure. I mean, the amount of people that have come out from Yang Gang interested in running for office, not just Congress, is huge. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and I want to say just how like indebted I am to everyone, particularly. So I'm just share it. It's like, if someone was Yang Gang on the campaign and they ran like that, like the way you were, and honestly, it's like I want to do everything I can to help them. And then there are people that are like Yang Gang aligned, but like weren't actually like all out for the campaign at the time, who I'm also very, very excited to support. But if you're in that first category, then I really feel indebted.
So can I ask if you can give James an honorary endorsement?
Very much so. I belatedly and am happy to bestow this honorary endorsement on James.
Hey!
One of the originals, like one of the original champions before it was even a thing. Which is awesome. The highest endorsement you can get. The
I know it is
the highest level of endorsement.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna Heidi take it over before I start crying.
Now he's gonna make me cry. Andrew, you are a sight for sore eyes. I guess it probably to you seems like a lifetime ago that we were like on the trail and you were kind of essentially the cheerful doomsdayer. Like,
4 months.
all of these terrible things, all of these terrible things are coming, but it's like still far enough in the future that we can course correct. And now, like just a few months later, like you're not, like you said, you're not a futurist anymore. And we're in the middle of a global pandemic. Half the country is shut down. And right now, Minneapolis is literally burning. What's your take on the state of things?
Things are terrible. Like the suffering is so real around the country from the inside out. It's like everyone who's struggling at home, it's been hard. And then in the fact that our communities have been transformed, 30% of small businesses may close, 38 million jobs lost, 40% of which will not come back. And even as we cautiously reopen, it's like we all know it's not like the economy is going to come roaring back to a point where like it's going to employ all those people who've been dislocated. And then on top of that, you have this police brutality and like the killing of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, but like George Floyd's more immediate. And then, you have people lashing out as a result in Minneapolis in particular, but there have been riots in other parts of the country. Things are terrible. Like as negative as I was during the campaign, I probably fell short though people have read my book more on normal people, it's like I do project. It's like, hey, things are going to disintegrate,
Yes.
and things are disintegrating now. It's the frustration I have is that like the like people sense that things are going wrong, but then in DC there's not that sense of urgency. It's like, and so one of the things I said on the trail is that Washington D.C. is the richest city in our country, and it's essentially recession proof because you have all of these people and companies that just like are there by like this government geyser that has grown and grown over the last number of years. So the urgency, unfortunately, is not reaching our leaders in DC, and the government has to be a big part of what helps move us forward. Certainly on the economic terms, but also potentially on like criminal justice and some kind of check on policing. Not to say it's like it's just a really, really terrible time, and I fell short of the mark in terms of predicting just how quickly it would get this bad.
Well, in specifics to the George Floyd case, what is your message to the Black community right now?
It's heartbreaking to see someone's life snuffed out because they're Black. And Ahmaud Arbery struck me as like very jarring because literally the guy's just like jogging while Black. And then he gets killed by like ordinary citizens. And they were like, well, thought he was like this like robber. It's like bullshit. Like, and so if you're Black in this country, you're like, wait a minute, I can't even fucking jog without like, and then you see someone who's like under arrest, not resisting nonviolent crime, just like killed in front of your eyes. It's like that heartbreak and anger and passion. As someone who's not Black, like I can only imagine what that is like. And it's disgusting, it's heartbreaking, it's evil. And I understand I understand like essentially any reaction. And then you have like the less, like it didn't end in anyone's death or whatnot, but it's like then you had like that situation in Central Park where it's like this woman like acted as if like, oh, it's like I'm going to call the police on you. And then there was like a suggestion that like that like and so it's very, very dark. Like the concerns I had were that the racial inequities in this country were going to end up becoming these massive fissures if we didn't improve our way of life and our institutions dramatically. Unfortunately, anything we do is going to be too late for George Floyd, his family, like people that are being touched by this.
Yeah, for sure. And again, like, thank you for everything, all the work you've done, like up to this point in bringing a lot of these things to the mainstream conversation, because a lot of the things that are going on are things that you talked about. And honestly, like, I want to say this directly to you. Like, I still see you as one of the leaders in the forefront of everything that's going on right now, because the people in Washington just are not connected to the people and what is needed and what needs to be done. So I literally just wanted to say to you, like, we still look to you as a leader and everything you're doing, and we have your back, like whatever direction.
Yeah, like you started a movement, Andrew. I know it was a campaign and, it was a presidential campaign, but it's, in your book, you talked about having your nonprofit where you felt like you were pouring water into a tub with the hole. I actually heard this several times a day on the trail with the hole ripped out. And so your campaign was never really even about just UBI. So it's not even something that even like these organizations or anything like that can fix. It was a movement. So since you suspended, I think that a lot of Yang Gang has been kind of like, where do we go? What are we doing? Are you the leader of this movement? What is your plan for like the future of the Yang Gang and this movement?
I'm so grateful to everyone who supported the campaign, and I agree we need to keep working and do more. And so I'm working on a number of things that I hope excite people. Right now, the most immediate is helping people. So we're distributing economic relief to folks. We're giving it out like today as we speak. Like hundreds of thousands of dollars are going out to folks who applied at Humanity Forward.
Yep.
MoveHumanityForward.com, probably know that. But so number one is just taking care of people. And so if you're Yang Yang and you're able to help someone else, like that's enormous. Number two is these local races. So it's been great getting to know folks who are running, some of whom are like hardcore Yang Yang the way that you two were, where we like worked on the campaign, and then others who are like really supportive of universal basic income or human-centered economy or like data-driven. So I've really enjoyed talking to them. They're great, and some of their races are immediate. So like next month. So if you are Yang Yang and you're like, oh, like Andrew's out of the presidential race, let's go help Jen Perlman. Let's go help Russ Cirincione. Let's go help Robbie Goldstein and other candidates around the country. Like our good friend Jermaine, freaking Dr. Jermaine Johnson. So like, so there are people around the country that we can make a big difference in, because the resources necessary to help in those races is not even millions and millions of dollars. It's like you look at a state race like Jermaine's, like if people donate, a few bucks, it's enormously impactful. So number one is helping people. Number two is local races. Number three is, and it's related to local races because some of those races are even national, is continuing to increase pressure on our leaders to have cash relief as part of the response to the pandemic. And there are dozens of legislators around the country that are supportive. 80% of Americans support it. I mean, really, if our government worked better, like that would be enough. It's like, well, 80% of Americans support it. Let's just do it. Instead, hundreds of billions are going to the corporations and various bailouts, and then like a smidgen, like 10% or so, going to human beings and people. Would love to reverse that ratio. So we have the people on our side. The moment is ours. Like we have to just keep on agitating for universal basic income and humanization of the economy. And we have a chance right now to put real pressure on people in Congress. And it's related, again, to supporting people who are running. Because one thing that's happening, and I'm so proud of this, is that if you are a sitting member of Congress and you're like, like, how do I feel about this cash relief bill? And then there's someone running against you. Literally, we've gotten calls from sitting members of Congress being like, hey, what does it take for me to like avoid having Yang endorse my opponent? And then we're like, endorse, like freaking support the cash relief bill, please. And they were like, and then like in some cases they're doing it. So it's awesome. Like, like that's the lever. That there's the entire, it's like, oh, let's like, make the case and let's do it. But at the end of the day, like we have to get hundreds of legislators on our side. And so we're making strides in that direction. So those are, I'd say, the top three things that if you're, and then number four would be what you all are doing, which is continuing to beat the drum for the vision of the country and ideas and get people excited. And there are many, many people that were like, hey, that Andrew Yang guy was interesting. And then fast forward a few months, they're like, holy crap, like maybe I should look into that guy. so hopefully we can give them, a nice red carpet welcome and help them, find out about the work we're doing and like our vision. So that would be another thing, is just trying to grow the tribe. We're working on a new project that's going to come out a couple weeks from now around trying to activate people's data property rights, which could result in people getting money for their data, which I think is going to be very welcome. Andrew Yang's all about trying to get people money, and so this is another way we can potentially do it. So those are some of the things that I'm excited about right now. But this is a really great time for us to energize politically, which means helping folks like James who ran. Like, and I'll say, as someone who's run for office myself, and James can speak to this, you're so grateful when someone helps you. It's like when someone's just like really into it. So if the Yang Gang get really into helping our local candidates, it could move mountains.
Yeah, and I'm honestly like, it's still only 2020. Like, you literally ran this cycle, and the number of candidates coming out supporting UBI and the platform already is crazy. Like, to me, it's awesome. And like, yes, any help at all, like even if it's like $3, like it
Yeah,
means a lot.
James notices that $3. You know.
And what's great with
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about candidates I left out in my little list. So then I was like, oh shit, like, you know.
We got like Mike Breuer who's running against Mitch McConnell. Like what kind of victory would that be if the Yang Gang defeated the Senate Majority Leader, right? Like
Mike Breuer is awesome. You know, I mean, we had to do the primary because you have you know, like Amy McGrath's got like a giant funding advantage and the rest of it. But Mike Breuer, if you want to support him, like that could be a game changer. I just felt like I was missing some people. Which there's
a lot. I mean,
Jonathan Herzog, David Kim,
Blair Walsingham.
And what I want to say is really impressive is like the difference between the Yang Gang and maybe anyone else is the Yang Gang is about action. Like literally the country was up in arms that the Democratic primary was canceled in New York, right? Everybody was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. But the Yang Gang, Andrew Yang, Jonathan Herzog, you guys were like, let's do something about it. It seems to be like they're in a lot of instances, people either need permission or they need like something.
That has to be one of the themes of the Yang Gang is we have to have a massive action orientation. Yes. So I can be like, hey, we should give people money. It's like, hey, or like maybe we can get some money together and then give it to people. Like the latter is much better than talking about it. So hopefully we can continue to lead through action and activate more people to act in ways big and small. But I agree with you, Heidi. Like, enough talk. Let's act.
Let's do it. Okay, and so I want to ask you, Donald Trump right now is on the warpath against Jack with Twitter. What are your thoughts on his talking about issuing an executive order on social media?
You know, I think no one has benefited more from social media than Donald Trump. I feel like he's just really running out of plays in the playbook. Like, you know, he's just like turning around, like, biting any hand that's near him at this point. I think this is a loser for him. I think that. And this is someone that's like, I understand social media has its like drawbacks, like very serious drawbacks, and it's something like the Data Property Rights Initiative is going to be touching on. But I'm getting increasingly optimistic that people can see through Trump's reaction of the day, and it's like not having the same efficacy that it did.
Well, and the fact that he wants to issue an executive order, like this sounds like countries we don't really want to move towards, I
mean, Heidi, it's interesting because like there's a natural reflex, particularly where Trump's concerned, where it's like, oh, you don't want authoritarianism.
Yes.
But what's more likely in this country is actually chaos than authoritarianism, honestly.
Interesting. Okay.
Like if you're going to look at you can see with the pandemic, it's like authoritarianism would be like, hey, all of our data got tracked and we're like in the app and like who's like contagious and who's not. That wasn't us. Like instead it was like, I don't know, just don't go outside. Like that person could be sick. So it's like it's funny, like the concern around authoritarianism strikes me as like not the right concern most of the time because it's like even if you look at it's like, oh, you cut off like a particular like messaging platform, which no one's done at this point. But it's not like we're a country that has like 3 TV networks anymore, and if you go in and you like yell at those 3 and then like the people don't know, it's what I mean? Yeah. It's like at this point we all have a fucking smartphone, just be like, hey, look at this shit, and then it's like for better or for worse. And my conversation this week on Yang Speaks was with Jaron Lanier, who said that like negativity spreads more powerfully on social media than positivity. And he said it's making us all more paranoid and irritable. And so one of the things I'm so proud of that you all are contributing to is like a positive discourse.
Yes.
Yes, and we're trying to keep that going, and it's building, and it's the momentum's there. And I again super appreciative of what everything you're doing, and we're behind you 100% with whatever you're doing. I know you are short on time. There's one question I wanted to ask to kind of settle a bit. Who, in your opinion, is the strongest Avenger?
I'm gonna say Thor.
See, yes, thank you.
I
See,
agree.
Thor, I agree.
And I have a question for my 11-year-old nephew. Are you a Tool fan?
You mean the rock band?
Yes.
I like their I'm not a fan like that. Like I never went to their shows or any of that jazz, but like I respect and admire Tool and their work. Like, it's one of those, they're like a band I respect.
Okay. And, I hate to put you on the spot about this, but if you had to choose between me and Zach Grauman as your favorite staffer, he's probably not watching, so you can be honest here.
I mean, Zach would not be anywhere near my top list of favorite staffers. Like we're like trapped together for like months on end. So Zach and I, we actually said it, like apparently, typically by the end of a campaign, the candidate and the campaign manager hit each other's guts. So we said if we like fall short of that, then we did well. So we did do well in that, like, we still like each other, but it's not like we're each other's favorite people. Like you have Zach, who's their favorite person. Zach could be Andrew Yang, I'll tell you that. And my favorite staffer is definitely not Zach, so I don't have any goals about that. And you'd be very high, Heidi. So
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I can say with conviction that you are higher on the list than Zach Grauman.
Oh shit! News headlines.
Matt, if you're watching this, I want a clip of that.
Matt's
feel free. Clip away.
All right, so we know you got to get out of here. Final question, Andrew: are you running again in 2024?
No, a lot can happen between now and then, but this movement we've built is needed more than ever, and is more powerful than ever. It's kind of amazing if you reflect on it for just a sec, guys. Like, and sir, when my campaign ended too, I was like, what does like our movement look like? But it feels like we're as vibrant as ever, as relevant as ever. Again, we have like members of Congress who are like trying to avoid me endorsing their opponents. Like, who could have imagined that? And when we do endorse someone, it's like it's moving the needle for them. Like it's like obviously it's brand new to me. So my goal is just to move our country, our society in the right direction. I'm going to do everything I can to do that. And if that involves running for office again, I'm going to do that. But there's a lot to be done between now and then. It's like I just want to act and help and contribute maximally between now and then. And then if the opportunity was there, I would 100% run again. One of the things I'd say too is like, it sure is going to be a lot easier and even more fun next time around, because I like now, like the Yang Gang exists, whereas it didn't exist before. Like we're going to start out at letter, not Z, obviously, because Z is victory, but we're going to start out at letter like M or N, as opposed to starting out at letter A this time.
Hell yeah. I'm excited for, if you run in 2024, and if there's a way to get you in there earlier, just saying, we'll get you in there earlier. But thank you again for your time, Andrew. I know you have other things set up right now. It was awesome talking to you. Thank you again for everything you do.
Yeah.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Heidi. Be safe.
Thank you. Love you. Miss you.
And yeah, we're going to keep on fighting for a better future, and we're going to win. I don't know if you guys can feel it, but we're like,
yes.
Heck, we beat the New York State Board of Elections. Like that was a category. And like we're gaining power all the time. Not power in like a sinister way, but we're gaining energy,
absolutely.
like gaining the ability to actually make the changes that we want to see in the world.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew, so much.
We
appreciate you.
Miss you. Be well. Miss
You too. Thanks, Andrew.
James, I didn't miss you.
I still miss you. I miss you. It's okay.
I'll say it. It's like, no, I'm still here, just still trapped in the bedroom. It's all right.
Yeah, me too.